of society by playing fun, tabletop role-playing games. I'm your host, Stu Masterson, and I'm joined by one Tootsie Roll and one Candy Corn.
I claim the Tootsie Roll. You cannot make me be Candy Corn. I hate candy corn.
You're a rat bastard. I like candy corn, but Tootsie Rolls are so much better.
I think we just talked about this. I did a bad call bringing this up.
Can I be a Swedish fish instead?
Yeah.
I do like Swedish fish.
Get shit on.
Eat like 6 million of them at once.
Hey everybody, it's your Swedish fish of a snack, Brady, and I play Book. Indeed. And I play Book McCready, the preppy prosecutor who is trying to get a conviction on his arch nemesis, Hickory Fleek.
That was it.
Beautiful.
Whatever.
I
don't need the judgment.
This big statement that you're going to make, and then it's just my arch nemesis.
Just introducing the concept of the podcast and who I am. Say who you are.
I'm your tantalizing Tootsie Roll, Jacob, and I play Ocean, a gentle giant who is really hoping to bring more physicality to this courthouse.
Nice. I'm excited.
He's getting a little tired of sitting there and twiddling his thumbs.
You just got to throw a shovel through someone. That always ramps things up.
It really does.
Indeed.
Well, this week we were talking about candy because we're recording on Halloween, but by the time you hear this, it's going to be Christmas.
Indeed.
We have a very, very rigid recording schedule.
I heard that this week we had a BuzzFeed Presents Apocalypse provided by our very own me. I think it's my turn. Is that right?
I think so.
I can't believe our fans aren't always correcting us on the order of BuzzFeed Presents Apocalypse.
I'm pretty sure it's shifted a couple times at this point.
My question for this week, if you were in a band, what genre would it be? And what instrument would you play?
Ocean would be playing the most Nickelback-esque butt rock around.
Yes,
and
that's a great choice.
I think he would play guitar. I think he would be acoustic guitar specifically, is what I can see him playing.
Okay, interesting, because I do think there is a lot of acoustic guitar in Nickelback songs, but it's not the main thing.
No, it's not. But I see Ocean more of an acoustic guitar guy than an electric guitar guy. I don't see him just like shredding away. I see him the kind of guy that's soulfully singing Wonderwall at the party in the background.
Beautiful.
That's kind of how I see him.
And the band name?
Wave Rider.
Wave Rider with Ocean. Featuring Ocean. That's pretty good. Okay. Book/Brady.
Okay. So the question was what genre, what instrument, and the name of the band, right?
Yes.
Except he threw the name of the band on us last second.
Yeah, that's okay. That's a Stu classic called Be a Dick. Sorry, you should cut that. I don't think you're a dick, Stu. Okay, so if Book was in a band, he would be in like I don't even know that this has like an official genre name, but basically they would do classical renditions or orchestral renditions of regular pop songs.
Oh,
like
there's a band that does that. What is the band called? Vitamin String Quartet, right?
I don't know. I just heard it a couple times and it was fun. That's what Book would do, and he would play every instrument. He would be recording it by himself in like he would be using like loop pedals and shit.
That's cool.
That does seem very Book.
Because he has exactly one friend, and
he's too busy soulfully playing Wonderwall at a party.
Yeah. To be clear, Book cannot play any instruments currently, but if he was in a band, that's what his band would be.
I like that choice because I was trying to, when I thought of this question, I was like, I have no idea what Book will say. And I was like, it's got to be some like weird, like a flute or something.
I was going to say flute.
I used to play the flute.
That is
nice. Wonderful.
Very cool.
Well, you should add little trills whenever there's pauses in our conversation.
You guys' reactions to that were so uninterested. Jeez.
Well, I mean, like, I played the saxophone in middle school. Does that count?
That so much cooler.
Okay. The name of the band is Detectives Disdain.
Ooh, that's pretty sick.
Dark and metal instead of classical, but I like it.
Yeah, exactly. It's because it's all contradictory and bad. It's a very bad band.
Okay, that's important. That was gonna be my answer for me too. My answer is guitar is my favorite instrument, so It would probably have to be guitar. I think genre is way harder for me. Obviously, I would love like a nice emo band, but I think I would like, this kind of answers both parts at once, but I would just like to be AWOL Nation.
AWOL me.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think that would be my favorite, but I would also,
I could picture Stu screaming "Sail."
yeah, oh, I would love to just scream Sail on stage while after I hit a button that does all the music I already made before.
Yeah.
That's absolutely my favorite. Yes. Thank you for making me think of that. My music is me screaming Sail while music I made previously.
They have AWOL Nation has like 2 good songs.
No, they have one perfect album of every single song on it, and then they still have a lot of good songs on other albums.
I am aware of 2 good songs.
I'm aware of Sail, and that's about it. I don't know any of the other AWOL Nation songs.
I like Kill Your Heroes.
That is also a good song. And the band name would be Stu All Nation.
Oh my god.
Okay, so I promise before this episode is over, before the out credits, we're going to be done with this courtroom. If we're not out of the courtroom by the end of this, I'm going to end it with a gunshot. This is foreshadowing.
I'll end it with a gunshot before you do. Are you kidding?
Oh,
We're still in unhinged book territory. He just cares about the truth again.
Well, let's get back to the truth and back to the action.
All right, y'all. So a book just heard Pistachio Jones be like, yeah, I did all this shit. It was me, not Hickory, blah, blah, blah. And that really pissed Book off.
Riled up.
Yeah. So what he just said to Pistachio Jones was, just because you're guilty doesn't mean that Hickory Fleek is innocent.
which is a pretty banger stinger.
Book was like leaning over Pistachio Jones, like to have that private conversation. Because again, we used that compassionate presence. So they were quote unquote alone. Book leans back and Book starts to remove something from his pocket. And he says, Your Honors, I would like to submit into evidence this.
And he talks both loud and quietly at the same time, like right in your face. And he goes, listen here, Book. Yes, I was the one in charge of all of the kind of sneaking around, trading with other things. I had to build up my own little fiefdom there. And yes, that kid did figure out that what we were storing there was going to blab everything, so I had to end it. But if you turn on me now, if you turn this into a trial against me, you're never bringing Hickory down. You need what I'm saying to be able to bring him down. The second you throw any doubt into the things I've said, it just seems like you guys were lying. It seems like you guys were collaborating with someone who helped to get him.
Okay, so Book is holding up it's a cassette tape recorder. And as he pulls it out of his pocket, you see a wire like slither down the lapel and through like a bunch of holes and out. And then he passes it over to the judges.
Like I used to wire my headphones in back when I was in high school into my hoodies.
Exactly.
Yeah,
or like
perfect.
When you're at the gym and you don't want the string to like tangle up in your weights and stuff. So you run it through your shirt like that. And then Book hands that to the judges and says, I would like to strike Pistachio's entire testimony pertaining to the events that led to the murder or disappearance of Kibble's son, and I request to treat the witness as hostile.
Captain Noodles jumps up onto his table and yells, "Oh, hell yeah." And he pulls out a giant butcher's knife. And you hear rumbling throughout the crowd as other people are pulling out small weapons. You hear like locking and loading. It's like that scene from The Matrix. And you see even across the aisle, you see Frida pulls out a small weapon.
Hell yeah. That's exactly what I was hoping you were going to say, because Book pulls out his fancy his fancy handgun.
Ocean looks around at everybody pulling out their guns nervously, and then he grabs a chair and lifts it up a little bit.
You look down as you move the chair, and you see Vesuvius, who has a brass knuckles in his mouth, ready to go. And Frida stands up with her small little pistol, and she goes, I appreciate no objections to treating the witness as hostile. I don't want to hold it against the prosecution. I understand that they were hoodwinked by a very deceivious man, but I think it would be an excellent show of good faith to strike the charges of conspiracy to commit murder and first-degree murder from the trial.
Your Honor, I would like to downgrade the first-degree murder to, we'll call it second-degree murder, and do not object to the striking of the conspiracy to commit murder because, again, we are still operating under the understanding that Hickory Fleek was aware of Pistachio Jones' actions. By continuing to employ him, implicitly approved of those actions.
Frida sits back down. Pistachio Jones is just stammering in front of you. What are you saying to him now that you can treat him as hostile?
Listen here, you little weasel-ass piece of shit, bitch-ass turd hammer son of a... Ugh. We're going to start over, Pistachio. You understand?
I think I need to speak to my lawyer.
Now that we are... Motherfucker, you are going to talk to me. All right, you're gonna talk to us, and I tag in Ocean.
Ocean comes up with the chair and smashes it in front of Pistachio right at his desk, grabs him by the scruff of his collar and goes, listen here, you little shit. We want the truth and the whole truth. But. Stop telling us bullshit lies. We don't want to convict Hickory on false testimony. We want what's going on and what's happening.
Give me a confront someone.
Let's see. That's aggro. That is an 8.
Confront someone. When you confront someone, make it clear that you want them, what you want from them, and how far you're ready to go, and roll plus aggro. On a 10 plus, they have to choose defy you to your face and take the consequences, or cave and do what you want. On a 7 to 9, if they don't want to obey you or defy you, they can try to stall, make excuses, or pass the buck. But in return, you take +1 forward against them. On a miss, be prepared for the worst.
So it's very obvious Ocean is willing to beat the stuffings out of Pistachio Jones right now. Oh, Ocean will add right before, after all that, he leans forward and says, don't forget who put you in that collar, little man.
Nice.
He tries to do a dramatic loosen the collar maneuver like a Tom from a Tom and Jerry would do with his neck brace. And
his neck snaps and he dies.
And he leans back and he goes, I don't know what you're talking about. I just a middleman here. And you see Frida stands up, and Hickory had been hurriedly tapping on her shoulder just a second ago, and she goes, sorry to interrupt, but just so the courtroom knows, and Pistachio Jones in particular knows, we were planning on submitting evidence of recordings that take place within Hickory Fleek's office. As you know, this is a one-party consent outpost. I would like to remind the witness, the hostile witness, that he is under oath, and any bullshit he says right now, we can go track down through those recordings.
Oh, shit. Fuck yeah, Frida.
See, I don't like that.
I know she's just doing this to defend Hickory, but at the same time, that kind of helps us, right?
No.
No?
It doesn't, because Stu can say anything happened in those recordings.
That is true. He's a little weasel.
Stu wants us to...
This is a trial where one of us have to have hard-fought facts, and the other can literally make up anything, and it's true.
We spent a whole episode collecting evidence only to find out that Stu made up the evidence.
This is sounding a little bit too much like the real justice system, damn it.
Pistachio Jones, there's definitely fear in his eyes. And he goes, okay, yeah, I mostly was following orders for what I did, but I did have a little bit of my own side hustle where I was collecting some goods to be able to establish some trade. And yeah, I wasn't ready to kind of open that up to the full town yet and let them know, hey, look, we got these cool new trade routes, but I was testing it out. I was seeing how good things were going.
So this fucker Pistachio is the one that was taking the shit and storing it.
Yeah, that doesn't take away from the fact that Hickory was still like overseeing that whole operation, was aware of the strife in the community and did nothing to change it.
He was not watching.
And was still hoarding wealth. I mean,
no, it doesn't.
That pile of batteries in the courthouse wasn't Pistachios. That was in character to Ocean.
Maybe we need to figure out, see if you can press him and figure out what exactly was his orders. If we can get direct orders out of Pistachio's mouth, that may be all we need. So Ocean pops up, kind of puts his elbow on the witness stand and kind of leans in and goes, all right, Pistachio, tell me this. Did Hickory ever give you orders to destroy other people's property?
Yeah, all the time.
What kind of property did he have destroyed?
Usually it would be messing with their electricity to like unhook them if we couldn't figure it out how to do it through the crazy computer stuff. We would confiscate some of their vehicles. Weapons is a big one. If people were acquiring too many weapons, we'd definitely go after those.
Ocean, I tap Ocean.
Yeah, what you got?
Mako said that he used to fuck with my power a lot. Ask about that. Ask whose orders, because like Pistachio doesn't give a shit about me. That had to have come from Hickory.
Who gave the orders to tamper with Book's power?
That was absolutely Hickory Fleek.
Ask about why. I want to know. And what reasons was he tampering with the power?
He's just always seemed to have a little bit of a bug up his butt for book. Well, that was some cool alliteration. Didn't mean to do that. But he wouldn't even allow other people. He'd try to give some reasons, or he was pretty hands off for some of them. Just like, let me deal with it. But for book, it was always straight from him.
And what was Hickory's relationship with alternative power sources in the community?
He was generally not a fan. He thought it would be detrimental to his hold over the town. And sorry, I'll let you ask a follow-up question.
Oh, no, you can keep going. That was.
Nah, it's good.
No, you were about to spill some beans. You fucker. All right, then. Was Hickory aware of the propane power supply that Kibbles was utilizing?
He was aware and was very concerned about it.
And did he give the order to tamper with Kibbles' power supply?
He looks over to Frida, and she's like locking eyes with him. And he leans forward to the mic and he goes, he told me to deal with it.
He told you to deal with it.
Yes. He didn't tell me any specifics, but from my previous conversations with him, I took that to mean make it so they can't get that.
In previous times, Hickory has told you to deal with the situation. Did he ever seem unsatisfied with the route that you took?
No, well, no, like a couple of times, yeah, but most of the time, no.
And did you notify Hickory about the outcome of your dealing with the propane source?
Now, this is from a hazy memory, and I know this tape is about to get played in the courtroom here, so I'm going to do my best to recapture it. But I believe it was something like, hey, Hickory, you really don't got to worry about that propane anymore.
And did he question what you did?
No, I believe he said, excellent. And then I closed the door.
Is there anything else you think we need to zing him on? Because I think that's a pretty good zinger right there.
Oh, yeah, no, I think that's enough to work
Okay.
with, I would say.
Ocean looks at Pistachio one more time and goes, and you swear upon your broken ass neck that everything you just told us is true. I remind you, things can always be more broken.
Yes, I understand my situation.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Time for cross, unless there's a tag in.
No tagging.
Okay, Frida stands up. And like always, I'm going to keep this short because I don't want to talk to myself.
Prep objections. Come on.
Yeah, get ready for objections.
We haven't objected once this entire damn time.
Frida walks up and she addresses the court in general and says, we will be providing into evidence all of the tapes of any conversations between Hickory Fleek and Pistachio Jones. That will be public knowledge that anyone wants to listen to. And Hickory definitely looks like he's sweating a little bit about that. He's like kind of shaking his head no, but she's like nodding yes. Let me assure you that the questions I'm asking right now are based on that fact. I know no one's had time to go listen to all of those, but I will be able to prove any of that afterwards.
Objection, Your Honor.
Yes?
I don't know the name of this objection, but let's just say that Hickory's associates have been known to tamper with audio-visual medium in the past. How do we know that we can trust the veracity of these tape recordings?
Excellent question.
Ocean stands up and says, can I take a look at these recordings? I promise I won't tamper them, but I can genuinely tell when things have been tampered with.
Yeah, it seems fair to me.
Ocean walks up to it and puts his hands on, and it's just a bunch of tapes, right?
Yeah, it's brought out in a little red wagon.
Okay.
And it has a stack of flash drives.
Okay.
Just bundled up.
Ocean puts his hands on it and sees if he can speak to it.
Okay, give me that roll.
It's a 7, but that's fine because I only needed one question. And that is, what has been done most recently with this or to it?
You feel the history of these flash drives, and it is just hours and hours of conversation. It seems like his room was always bugged, constantly had recording into it. And you just hear incomprehensible speech flying past you of many, many different voices. But you go all the way back up to its most recent, and you feel like these have all been just stored by Hickory Fleek. They have not been edited, and you feel like the majority of these were not intended to be submitted into evidence. You think there was one specific one that was going to be brought into evidence, and they knew they had them available, so they went and collected the rest to help with this Pistachio Jones aspect.
Ocean lifts his hands and looks over at Frida. Okay, I trust these tapes, and sits back down.
Officially submitted. Frida walks over to Pistachio Jones, and she says, did Hickory Fleek have any knowledge of the trade routes that you were setting up? Nope, didn't know anything about them. Did he expect you to kill that child?
Objection, assuming facts not in evidence.
I'll rephrase. You admitted that you informed Hickory Fleek when you had disabled the propane tank. Yep, that is correct. Did you inform him after you murdered or ordered the murdering of Kibbles' son? No, I didn't think he needed to be aware of that part of the situation. That was outside of my scope of worry. I just was handling it how I thought the best way to handle it. And leading up to their difficulties in their decision to leave, that was because they didn't have a place anymore to stay at. Was that your decision, Pistachio Jones, to make them lose that location? I'm asking because it seems weird that Hickory Fleek would try to kick them out and then not use that location. And he goes, yeah, I thought it was a nice little place for me to be able to store my things for the trade route that I was trying to set up for everyone here. And I'm just testing it out myself. You think he's lying, obviously,
but we're not gonna call him on that one.
Frida stands and she goes, I think the bullshit of Pistachio Jones has been adequately demonstrated by both the prosecution here and maybe a couple of my questions, but I have something a little more germane to the case that I'd like to ask you about, Pistachio. When Book came to you and told him that it was very important that he talks to Hickory Fleek and that he thought there was potentially a danger to the town that he needed to be informed of, did you assist them in their communication? Because I actually tried to talk them out of it, but I got them in a situation where they're able to talk to Hickory. Because after that conversation, did Hickory act on it in any way? Yeah, he definitely upped the security around the courthouse, and we were keeping a very close eye on the Vesuvius. I believe that's all my questions. Any redirects? You guys already talked to him for like 2 hours.
Ocean does have one redirect. Ocean stands up and says, yes, I do have one more question for him. Pistachio, has Hickory ordered you to kill anybody in the past to resolve a situation?
Not me directly, but he has told me to take care of specific individuals.
And these individuals you've been told to take care of, was Hickory aware that they had died?
I feel like he had to be aware of some of the cases where it happened.
And Hickory never investigated any further into these deaths after you handled the situation?
Nope, no one for sure.
And he never questioned you on how the situation was handled?
Nope, very hands off.
And when the situation was considered to be dealt with, he never brought it up ever again?
I feel like you're saying the same thing a lot, but yeah.
I'm just trying to establish that he had absolutely no qualms with you killing people to accomplish his goals.
Objection, speculation.
Can I tag in?
We can have a tap in.
Because we're treating the witness as hostile, we can like totally lead the witness now, right?
Yes.
All right, sweet. Pistachio, would you say that you're like the enforcer of the town?
A little bit. I don't get my hands dirty too much, but I'm like middle management.
Right, but you make most of the important decisions, don't you?
On the day-to-day, yeah.
Sounds like most of the direct orders come from you.
Not direct, but yeah, to people. Yeah, to the people execute.
The orders that go to the people who enact the plans come from you, right? And you've taken it upon yourself to establish trade routes with outside communities and certainly provided liaison services between Hickory and all kind of important parties. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
So would you call yourself kind of the de facto leader of the town, with Hickory acting as more of a figurehead?
No. He's the actual leader.
Interesting. Okay. If he's the actual leader, would you say that he's competent enough to actually lead this community? Even though, considering that you're the one who seems to do all the work?
I think he saw some of my own good talents and leveraged those appropriately.
Let me ask you this then. If you were leading the community, would you let a two-faced lying idiot run wild with spending everyone's tax money and killing children and destroying property?
No, I'd lock that shit down.
I would too. No further questions, Your Honor.
Ocean turns to Book and says, fuck, man. Got him. And gives you a high five.
Pistachio gets up and hobbles slowly out the back of the courtroom. That's all your witnesses, right? Frida stands up dramatically and she says, as normal in our weird court, our opening statement now comes right now because I forgot to do it earlier.
I'm pretty sure you did do an opening statement.
Don't think I did.
Did you not do an opening statement?
I'm almost 100% sure that you did.
Okay, if you say it, I won't do it now.
You want me to look it up? I have the episode up.
Opening statements don't matter. Frida stands up and she goes, the first witness we would like to call to the stand is Ocean.
Whoa, a what? Ocean looks concerned at Book, and then looks concerned at Vesuvius, and then looks concerned at Frida, and then nods and walks to the stand.
I leaned before Ocean walks over, and I just say, remember, Ocean, you're not on trial here. So don't do what Pistachio did and fold, okay?
Ocean nods is like, I mean, all right. You're not going to treat me like Pistachio and as a hostile witness, right?
I'm going to record the shit out of you. I'm just kidding.
Oh, God. Yeah, Ocean walks up and sits down at the stand.
Frida goes, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth on your friendship with Book?
Yeah, I swear to tell the truth. He looks at Book and never intentionally lied before.
Book's eyes go wide, and he's like, I don't know about that.
Let's start with a simple question. Could you explain to me the first time you met Vesuvius?
Well, Frida, that's a complicated question. That depends on the Vesuvius we're talking about.
Oh, wow. That is more complicated than I expected. I'm referring, most people don't know, to Vesuviuses. I'm referring to that RC car with a human head on it.
Okay, well, considering most people don't know there's two Vesuviuses, despite the fact we've talked that he's about a doppelganger, let me start from the beginning with the real Vesuvius that we met. So we were on a mission to do some trade, and we went to see the local warlord we all know as Crandall. Crandall had a guard named Vesuvius, and we were friends, and seemed like a pretty cool guy, and we talked to him. And we did our business, and then we left.
This does not make us look good.
Does it not? I'm trying to establish the fact that we met there's two Vesuviuses, and we warned him about two Vesuviuses.
Yeah, okay, go for it.
Yeah. When we came back, there was a new Vesuvius who talked completely different than the original Vesuvius. And that new Vesuvius is the Vesuvius you guys see here.
Fascinating. When you met this new Vesuvius, what did you think?
Well, at first we thought it was the original Vesuvius trying to trick us with a new fancy voice.
That makes sense. What did you do with Vesuvius? New Vesuvius.
So we did a lot of personal investigation, books of detective and all, about what the nature of the fact that this new guy claims to be Vesuvius, but has acted and sounds nothing like him. So we watched him for a while, did personal investigations, and then we brought him to Hickory Fleek for him to watch him and keep a close eye.
You brought him to Hickory Fleek so Hickory Fleek could watch him and keep a close eye. Were there any other reasons that you brought Vesuvius to Hickory Fleek?
Truthfully, no. We didn't have very many resources at the time. We couldn't watch him ourselves. We were afraid he could be a threat to the town. And like it or not, Hickory was in charge at the time, so we figured he'd have the most resources to watch him.
Excellent answer. Due to my, as I previously mentioned, extensive recordings of Hickory's office, I know that you weren't there to specifically tell Hickory about the dangers of Vesuvius and those sorts of things. So I'll get to that later today. But for you, let's fast forward a little bit. Do you know what caused the explosion in the server room?
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
This is extremely relevant to the situation involved and the defense of several of the charges against him, mostly that my client has put the town at risk by ignoring obvious dangers.
Your Honor, how does demonstrating a sequence of events that led to an explosion demonstrate the innocence of Hickory Fleek? I just don't see a correlation here.
The correlation is that Hickory Fleek was not involved in bringing Vesuvius to this town. He was involved in installing Vesuvius as a trusted member of our society, and he wasn't involved in a server exploding, causing our very recent lack of resources.
That's fine. Hickory's not on trial for doing any of those things.
If you are willing to remove the charges of misappropriation of funds, embezzlement, fraud in allocation and use of goods, then I think I'd be fine stopping this line of questioning.
How does, I'm sorry, fraud and embezzlement? That has to do with funding, not explosions.
Yes, but a key tenet of your case has been that Hickory Fleek has been misusing resources, has been hoarding batteries, and not providing adequate care to Hamlet Opening. And I'm here to contend that a lot of that is outside of his control. His main defense is honestly the Shaggy defense. It wasn't me.
Your Honor.
Give me Rita Citral.
Your Honor, I'm going to maintain my objection here. I don't think that whether or not Hickory could have or tried to or did stop an explosion has anything to do with his use of funds in the community. And in fact, if anything, him having so little control over the community, to me, would indicate that he is not fit to lead it.
Okay, give me a sway someone roll.
I'm nervous. Okay, here we go. Okay. So that's a 6, a 1, and am I rolling cool?
Yes.
So that's +3. So that's 7 + 3 is 10.
There's a conference amongst the judges as the first officially rolled against objection.
Ooh.
And you see that Captain Noodle seems pretty swayed. And as you look closer, he's got some cool Shaggy tattoos going on. So he's a big fan of this defense. You see there's some lyrics across his knuckles that are closer than my peeps you are to me.
He's swayed as in he likes what Frida's saying?
Yes. He thinks that this is probably a baseless objection, and he's trying to convince them of that. Juniper and Maple are pretty much ignoring him and conferring with each other. And then after a little bit of talking, Juniper leans forward and he goes, I think we're going to sustain the objection. And Frida backs up. She goes, okay, that's bullshit. Okay, the prosecution, which you're a part of, sorry to lump you in with all of them, but as the prosecution.
I thought we were cool, Frida.
You have been contending that Hickory Fleek does not run this town well. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, it's something I truly believe.
Do you know of any extenuating circumstances that would cause difficulty maintaining power within Hamlet Opening?
Well, I know that there's been an ongoing struggle with the grid to try and allocate enough power to and forth for us.
Were you aware that this server room played a vital role in maintaining that resource?
We weren't, right? Like we weren't until after the disaster, correct?
We didn't know. No.
We didn't know yet. No, we weren't aware.
You weren't aware. Are you aware right now?
Yes, we're aware now, but we were not aware at the time of the explosion or even immediately times following it that's what that room was for.
One of your charges against Hickory Fleek is that he committed treason in the highest degree. What acts do you think Hickory Fleek has taken that would reach that level of treason? I feel like I'm giving you a softball here, but I just feel like from the witnesses you brought forward that I'm not getting where you're trying to go with this direction. So I thought it'd be helpful to just have you clarify that.
Yeah, Ocean has a hurried and whispered conversation with Book, and you hear taxation is theft whispered a couple times, and Ocean nods and walks back up to the stand. And he looks over at Frida and says, well, all of Hickory's actions, there isn't one single action that Hickory has done that is considered by itself high treason. The reason that Hickory is treasonous is all the cumulative minor actions he has taken over a long period of time have built up to the point where he is actively working against the needs of the community. He has a wild dog, as we've established, who has been going off leash and doing all these wild things under his rule that he can't possibly have been unaware of. That rather than reining him in, he just sets him loose to do things. He's been taxing the community. He's been taking resources. He's been actively sabotaging other individuals in the community in order to make sure his hold of power can't be jeopardized. Everything he's done is against the needs of the community. There's no amount of poor management or situation outside of his control that could have possibly led to the actions that he took, considering most of these actions took place well before the server room was even impacted. These are things been going on since the beginning of his rule. It's not just things that have started just now.
No further questions.
Fuck yeah.
Cross?
I tagged myself in. Hi, Ocean.
Hey, buddy, what's up?
Do you remember the server room that Frida asked you about earlier?
Yeah, I remember it.
Do you remember the first time that you found it?
Yeah, the first time we saw it, we were visiting Vesuvius at Hickory's compound, and he was giving us a tour.
When you got to the server room, do you remember how you got into the server room?
It was propped open with a brick. We could just walk right in. There was no guards or anything.
That doesn't seem very secure, does it?
No, I mean, I could get in, and I'm not very stealthy.
At that time, you said you were with Vesuvius?
I was. At the time, I believe Vesuvius was employed by Hickory.
Is that the same Vesuvius who we warned Hickory Fleek about?
Yeah, it's the same one. Vesuvius too.
Ocean, about how long was Vesuvius in that facility before you went on the tour with him?
Probably about a week, right? Is that about right? Or was it a little longer?
I don't know.
It was very short. It was like a couple few
day.
days.
Yeah, it was a couple days,
Yeah,
maybe
it could
a
have
week.
very well been a single day.
So at any point in that time, conceivably, Vesuvius could have accessed the server room?
Yeah, I mean, it was only held open with a brick, and there was nobody posted to watch it, so theoretically anybody at any point could have got in there.
Ocean, when you were there, did anyone question you about going into the server room?
No.
And when you were there, was anybody following Vesuvius, keeping an eye on him? Was anyone charged with keeping an eye on him like we asked Hickory to do?
If there was nobody that I saw.
Interesting. And as a direct result of that, can you remind us what happened to that server room?
It exploded.
Done blown up.
Interesting. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
I have no tag-ins on my side.
No redirectives.
My next witness I'd like to call to the stand is Book McCready.
What?
Book cracks his neck. He's like, let's fucking go.
Okay, just like Ocean, I'm going to start with a simple one for you.
Oh, sorry. I have to say that I am going to tell the truth and stuff.
Oh, if you want to. Yeah, would you like to swear?
The truth is very important to me. So yeah, I would.
Let's swear on your mother.
Sure.
Sounds good. She fist bumps you.
My mom's probably dead anyway.
I'd like to strike that from the record
You can leave it in.
because it'll be sad later. Just like with Ocean, I'd like to start with the simple one for you. Are you aware that there is a malevolent AI that is impacting the availability of power within Hamlet Opening and Subtropolis?
We recently became aware of that. Yes.
Are you aware of the interaction of the server room with that AI?
We eventually, yes, we became aware of that.
You think you're a pretty smart guy, right?
I think I'm good at solving problems. I'm good at solving puzzles. I wouldn't necessarily say that I am particularly intelligent.
For anyone who isn't aware, I know we're talking a little coded here, but in the server room there was a artificial intelligence that was created to try to combat the very resource hungry, dangerous entity that is stealing power from our little hamlet here. She turns back to you. She goes, so yeah, it's weird. You're like a good problem solver, and I would say you're smart at least. Why weren't you helping out with any of the kind of AI development to help provide power to this town?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance. My client here isn't on trial. Hickory's the one being tried.
Sustained. Let me rephrase. We're kind of talking about the same 2 days here a lot with some of these questions, but when you came to Hickory to warn him about the dangers of Vesuvius, did he offer anything in recompense for this information?
No, he didn't.
Why did you come with this information to Hickory shortly after getting a job for Vesuvius at this very location? As we mentioned, there is a couple days between these two things, but
Well,
not a long time.
we went, as best as I can remember, we went to Hickory to ask him to keep an eye on Vesuvius because we didn't think that he was the original Vesuvius, which was correct, and we were worried that something might be happening. We didn't know what. We had no idea what to expect. We were just worried that that something bad would happen, and so we wanted to put Vesuvius in a place where he could be easily watched and guarded. We also had a conversation with Hickory about Crandall's men and being concerned about the sort of the warlordliness of that. And Hickory also, I think that was when he told us about the what my mom used to work on, which was the AI that was used to help increase the power that was allotted to Hamlet Opening. And it was in that meeting that I actually offered to help Randy Candy try to fix the AI so that we could continue getting more power. Or not fix it, but to make it better.
It's very kind of you. Was he receptive to this offer?
Yes, Hickory was very interested in getting more power fixed. He was also very interested in me basically giving him my support, giving a display of my support. Basically, he said he would protect the community. He would keep an eye on Vesuvius if I spoke and gave him my support.
Let's back up just a little bit there. So you mentioned that you knew there was something wrong with Vesuvius, but you weren't quite sure yet. But as we talked about, you're a smart guy, you're a problem solver. What did you think was the problem with Vesuvius?
Well, originally I thought he might be a cheese monster from the sewer
Interesting.
with a melty face. That quickly became apparent that was not the case, and then I actually died.
How quickly would you say that became the case?
So, okay, you want the full breakdown? Here's the full breakdown.
I don't need the full breakdown. I just would like to know how
No,
quickly.
I'll give you the full breakdown. What happened was we went to Hickory, told him that something bad was going on, and we said we can't keep an eye on Vesuvius because we have to go investigate to see if we can stop it. All that Hickory had to do was keep an eye on Vesuvius, and what Ocean and I did is we went back into town, back into Subtropolis to try to find the cheese monster. And is that when I died?
My records here show that you actually died previous to all of this.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, my records are showing that you died before you met fake Vesuvius.
What we did is we asked Hickory to keep an eye on Vesuvius while we went to see if the original Vesuvius was still around to prove that he was a doppelganger.
Okay. that did not answer my original question.
What was your original question again?
How long did it take before you realized that Vesuvius was not a melty cheese monster?
Kind of when he blew up and then was just a head.
Interesting. How long was that between when you first warned Hickory Fleek and this explosion?
It was a few days to a week.
A few days. As you mentioned, you're pretty smart. A good leader would kind of rely on the smart people around him to make these decisions. And you thought he was a melty cheese monster who may be impersonating people throughout the town and to keep an eye on for people and listen for people's voices changing. Do you feel like Hickory Fleek adequately protected from that danger?
No, we just established in Ocean's testimony that Vesuvius was completely unguarded and was able to access the very server room that he then later decided to blow up. And when I say decided, Vesuvius,
It was Maltolzo.
I mean your body took over and blew up. It was the AI. We all know this now.
The AI, a different threat than a melty cheese monster.
The AI, a threat that Hickory was supposedly already aware of that Ocean and I were not at the time. We had no knowledge of the AI.
To me, it seems like you kind of led him down a particular path. And that I'm not blaming you. I understand that you may have not had all the knowledge, but what defense mechanisms are you unsatisfied with? Is it the fact that a door was held open with a brick? Is it the fact that Vesuvius was even allowed to move around? What was it?
What I'm disappointed with is that for Hickory to think that it was a good idea to defend the community against a credible threat, I think it was a credible threat. I think that's proved by the fact that his body blew up, that it was a credible threat, even if the nature of the threat was not accurate, that in order to convince Hickory, it was necessary for him to do the bare minimum, which he didn't even do, as evidenced by the brick, of defending our community. To convince him to do the bare minimum, I had to pledge that I would offer my support for his continued leadership, because that's what was more important to him.
Yeah, it wasn't really the question I asked, but we can move on. We can move a little bit forward. So you offered to help with the AI development.
Yes.
To help provide more power to the town.
Correct. I thought that was important.
And that would benefit the town.
Yes.
That would help some of the resource limitations that people were experiencing or have experienced in this apocalypse.
Sure.
And Hickory wanted you to do that.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good decision by the leader.
Well, it certainly also benefited Hickory, or would have benefited Hickory.
How so?
Twofold. For one, he would also have access to more power. And two, if more power was available to the community under his leadership, people would approve of him more. I think it's no surprise. I mean, it's no surprise that he was not exactly a very popular person in the community.
I know this testimony was previously stricken, but I think there was a statement from Pistachio Jones that I think we can all agree is still accurate, where he said he never wanted for power. He never wanted for batteries. He could just grab them wherever he wanted. If someone like Pistachio was truly living in a post-scarcity society, then you would assume the leadership like Hickory was as well, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. Assuming facts not into evidence. As the opponent just suggested, these are facts that were stricken from the record. This is based on a testimony that was stricken from the record.
Sustained. Do you think that Hickory Fleek did not have enough power already?
I am sure that he had plenty.
Then how would an increase in the available power have benefited him? It seems like that would have benefited everyone else.
I just explained that if people had more power, people would like him more, which means that the unrest that was in the community, the unrest that was caused by his poor leadership, would probably be calmed.
That doesn't sound like someone who is hoarding goods to try to maintain power. Don't you think that sort of person would prefer scarcity?
I think doing one potentially good thing that didn't end up happening does not absolve you from doing thousands of shitty things. That's what I think.
Do you think you're aware of all of the good things Hickory Fleek has done?
No. I also don't think I'm aware of all the shitty things he's done.
Ooh, bang, got him.
Are you aware of about 7 years ago, there was a delivery of a large amount of goods and services to your cave?
No.
You mentioned this in an intro before.
You're talking about the stack of cans?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I remember that happening.
Oh, no.
Who do you think has the available resources to do that sort of thing? Just give me like a handful, like 3 or 4.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance?
And speculation.
This is relevant to establishing that my client has done many, many good acts for his community.
Objection, speculation also.
Okay, I'll ask clearer questions. I'll withdraw that question.
I don't know who delivered those cans, but I do know who's been cutting off my power supply for the intervening 7 years.
Yes, we hit from the previous testimony from Pistachio Jones. It has been.
So let me ask you a question.
Don't think that's how this works.
I don't care. Let's say I did help get the AI working again. Let's say the power to the community did increase. Guess who wouldn't have benefited from it? All the people who Hickory had already cut off power to because they weren't doing what he wants. Does that sound like fairness to you? Does that sound like a right and just society? Does that sound like a good leader?
That sounds like speculation to me.
It was my cave that didn't have any power. How's that speculation?
No further questions.
Oh?
Coward.
Ocean comes up to the stand and says, all right, Book. Has Hickory ever approached you to help in the community with this AI situation?
No, I was not aware of it until very, very recently.
Who was it actually that suggested to help, your assistance with the AI situation?
I offered to help try to fix the software in exchange for Hickory supporting our investigation into some suspicious things going around the community.
So Hickory never once came to you to fix the software without anything to gain.
Correct.
And Hickory never even suggested for you to fix it until you brought it up.
Nope. I asked Hickory what my mom used to do and why he was so mad that my parents left. And when he told me that they were vital in providing power to the community, I offered to try to take their place and try to pick up where they left off.
And has your experience and knowledge with computers, is that a fairly well-known fact around town?
I think it's well known that I have access to a lot of information that, as far as who best would, I have all of my parents' notes. I have, I have a personal library of books that I use to help with my research. And between the two of those things, I would be fairly confident that I could at least try to continue where they left.
All right. No further questions, Your Honor.
I will like to call my final witness to the stands, Hickory Fleek.
What?
Hickory Fleek stands up, his chair loudly scoots, and he slowly walks. I'd like to remind everyone that he is still super fucked up. He was in a coma like a week ago. He's all wrapped up in bandages. He's got a scraggly beard going on, and he sits down at the witness stand, and he doesn't wait for anyone. He just says, I swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. And Frida walks up and goes, could you please take a moment to just walk us through your perception of the events that occurred the day before and the day of the server room done blowing up? I was just having a normal, relaxing day overseeing this town, checking, monitoring the levels and those sorts of things in my room, when I had to oversee an impromptu court appearance by Book and Ocean, who demanded that I speak to them immediately. After some short back and forths, eventually I agreed to allow Mr. McCready to enter my private chambers, where we had a more detailed private discussion.
He pointed a gun at me.
All of this can be backed up on audio tapes that have been provided. In that room, he confided in me a fear that Vesuvius, a recent employee who was recommended directly by Ocean, was potentially a melty cheese monster, and that he was at risk of stealing other people's bodies, and he came from the sewers. This is despite the fact that Mr. McCready had just recently killed a cheese monster of a similar description. But he was worried that as only a couple people had interacted with a deceased member of Crandall's gang and himself, that Vesuvius was a likely candidate for an alternative identity for this cheese monster. I was hesitant to believe this, but I made an arrangement with Mr. McCready that if he withdrew his current revolution that was ongoing and agreed to help me out, I would provide a couple men for his exploratory force into Subtropolis to try to get to the bottom of this. Before Mr. McCready could follow through on any of his promises to me, they were in a server room when it exploded. To the best of my knowledge, they were the cause of this explosion. After that, I tried to rein in the town a little bit. We were very low on power, as the aforementioned AI, which I intended to keep secret, but I understand it has to come out in a situation like this, was no longer usable. So it was a tough time for this town. I understand that. I understand everyone's difficulties. I understand even anger at me. I didn't prepare enough for this to not happen. But from my perspective, this was an act of two lone terrorists. I had no evidence that there was any large overarching threat. Despite their knowledge of the situation, I had no connection between the explosion in the server room and the yellow Humvee people. And I knew no context that this was connected to the artificial intelligence. I instead received a admittedly doctored video that seemed to be stoking the flames of rebellion. After that, they disappeared for quite a while. We didn't hear from Booker Ocean, but when they came back into town, I knew I had to talk to him. So I sent confirmed shithead Pistachio Jones out to wrangle them up, where instead they broke his back and broke into the courthouse. Strangely, within minutes, a large force of yellow Humvee people arrived and fucked literally everything up. Absolutely everything. And I ended up getting some of those wounds here. Ow. And he kind of stands up and he shows the scar from, he doesn't say this, but it's the one that Book put right through his shoulder. And he shows this gnarly, gross scar. He goes, if I had the knowledge that there was some connection between the AI and the explosion in the server room, then I certainly would have been able to at least be prepared for an attack like this. I did not have any of the knowledge. You can blame incompetency all you want. I didn't have the information. I am confident that I could not have handled this any differently than I did. Freddy goes, that was a lot of stuff, but thank you for your recounting of the kind of situation around where it involved. So did you have knowledge of the yellow Humvee people from before? Yes, I was aware they were there. They had never encroached Hamlet Opening in any way. They were always on the outskirts. They were just mostly a danger for some of our scrappers and scroungers. She was interesting. So you knew, well, did you even know there was a connection between these yellow Humvee people, as you call them, and the AI you were fighting for control over power? Absolutely not. I thought they were just some strange band of people, not much different than the Boxcar Children, just causing some havoc on the outskirts. Interesting. Did you have any knowledge that Pistachio Jones was establishing these sorts of trade routes to embezzle funds from the town? No, I had absolutely no knowledge of it. I never officially signed off on any paper, and I would not have been happy with Pistachio Jones taking that much stuff. And I think we should go down to the Chuck E. Cheese and try to clear it out and kind of spread that wealth around. Now, there have been a lot of accusations here that you've kind of, one, been incompetent. I think we've addressed that a little bit, but also that you have just haphazardly thrown Pistachio Jones to wreak havoc on the town. Can you comment on your relationship to your knowledge with Pistachio Jones committing any murders or grave damage to property? I knew he would do some unfortunate things. You, as the tapes have been submitted into record, I think that's going to be pretty clear, but I never drove him to kill any citizen of Hamlet Opening. It was always people who were causing problems, outsiders, thieves, those sorts of things. And I did want him to control the flow of property in the town, to control the economy more, but it seems like instead he was mostly just embezzling. No further questions until my tag-in.
Hi, Hickory.
Get him, Tiger. Get him.
Hello, Book.
Clear our name. We're on fire here.
Do you remember when I first came to meet with you about Vesuvius and you brought me into your private office? Do you remember what your first action was?
Yes, I put a gun on you.
Why?
Safety.
Whose safety?
Mine.
Was I posing any threat to you?
Not really.
Did the information I brought you, would you say in hindsight that was potentially useful information?
No, I think it was misleading information that made my job harder.
Okay.
That only a fool would have come up with.
Was my intent to harm you when we met?
No.
Okay. When we got back from investigating in Subtropolis, and you said that you ordered your men to come get us so that we could talk, did you also order your men to shoot us?
No, I actually wanted you alive.
Okay. Do you know...
They're usually trained to only shoot when shot upon first.
Well, we definitely didn't do that. So can you?
I believe I remember hearing announcements of gunfire.
I think you'd be mistaken there.
My record shows that there was a shot into a roof from some sort of handmade garbage gun.
Okay. Fuck it. Ocean, I told you that was such a shitty idea.
Trying to be a distraction. Regardless, that didn't sound like a gunshot. It was marbles on a roof.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay, Hickory. Let me ask you this. Why is it that every time I've tried to come talk to you, you have either shot me or pointed a gun at me or pushed me down the stairs?
I'm not a big fan of you.
Right. So that gives you the right to just be a bully?
No. My position of power gives me the ability to do that. And my want to bully you is what gives me that right.
Do you think a good leader uses his power to bully someone who's half their age?
I don't think that's a quality of a good leader.
Okay. Would you consider yourself a good leader?
Yes.
Would a good leader let their second-hand man embezzle all of the tax money and use it to collect stupid shit into a house?
Nope. I think there was a moment of poor judgment in my relationship with Pistachio Jones, where I had seen improvements in many of the metrics that I care to track. And if, as submitted in evidence, will be the records maintained by Randall Cunningham about the flow of power into the town and the flow of resources. And I saw an uptick once Pistachio Jones helped me out. And I did not realize that it was at the expense of our most poor and downtrodden members of the community.
Okay. But you are aware of what those most poor and downtrodden members were asked to do after they couldn't pay your taxes, right?
Yes, they would normally have to provide power back to the town through the magic science of peddling it off.
And were they paid for their time peddling?
No, it was mostly paying off debts. So in a sense, you could view it as payment.
Right. That's not how that works. Also, how long out of the day would you expect them to peddle?
It depends on the crime. I normally didn't handle that directly. That would mostly be Pistachio Jones.
Was everyone ever expected to peddle for multiple days? Not straight, but multiple days in a row?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you think that that impacted their ability to provide for themselves in the way that they normally would?
Yes, but that is at the expense of living in a, before recently, tremendously safe community and one of the few that has access to regular power. There's going to be taxes. There's going to be hardship.
Well, Hickory,
but I think everyone who lives here, he interrupts you, everyone who lives here thinks it's worth it, or they wouldn't be here. I'm doing nothing to keep people in Hamlet Opening. Anyone can go wander out into Subtropolis right now if they want to. Try their luck with Crandall's old gang. Try to join the Yellow Humvee people. They can do that, but they're here because they're getting more out of this town than I'm taking from them.
Hickory, let me ask you this. If someone is peddling for, let's say, a week straight, a couple hours a day or maybe more, and they're not doing what they would normally do, how are they supposed to pay your taxes?
I don't control the economy. I just take what's needed.
Okay. Let's pull on that thread. You don't control the economy. Do you know how many batteries were in your courthouse when it was raided by the Yellow Humvee people?
About that many, and he points to the
right.
red wagons full of batteries, which is quite a lot.
So, Hickory, if you don't control the economy, then why are you introducing artificial scarcity into the battery market?
I just think it provides for a more stable form of bartering.
Interesting.
Batteries,
so you do control the economy then? You're trying to introduce...
I just control batteries. I'm in charge of the power in this town, and that does put me into a position of leadership. Wow,
you
what
tamper
I use
with the market by introducing artificial scarcity by withholding batteries. Yes or no?
I don't think that's what I'm doing by withholding batteries.
Then what are you doing by withholding batteries?
Helping the market remain stable.
By tampering with it. If you're helping the market be stable, you're tampering with it.
Just as much as someone buying a pack of gum with one AAA is tampering with it. They're changing the supply flow the same way. If you go into Subtropolis and you find a rusted out car and you take a battery, you've now changed the supplies of battery. I could take all those batteries I have and buy Captain Noodles, and he stands up and points right at Captain Noodles. Buy Captain Noodles' entire restaurant. And Captain Noodles leans back. He's like, what? And he goes, but I don't do that because I think he provides a valuable service to this town. I could take those batteries and buy Juniper's bar. I don't do that because I think he provides a valuable service to this town.
And what valuable service do you provide, Hickory?
I provide the power. And he slams his fist on the table.
Ah, yes. Hickory the Lightbringer. That's what you like to call yourself, right?
That's what my men like to call me.
Let me ask you this. Why have you not reinvested those batteries into the community?
I think I have where it makes sense with what's helpful to me. We have increased our infrastructure. We have laid new line. What do you think these people do all day? And he gestures to like Mako. And he goes, they are improving the infrastructure. They are helping out. We are being hamstrung by a unfathomable power.
I think it's pretty fathomable.
I don't know how to invest money.
It's a pretty fathomable power, Hickory. And if you'd actually taken any steps to try to protect our community, you would have discovered the same. Hickory, you said that after we warned you, or let me rephrase that, Pistache, you said that after we warned you about the potential threat, you increased patrols around the courthouse. Why didn't you increase patrols around the whole of Hamlet Opening?
All of the information that I had led me to believe that the largest likelihood threat was a melty cheese monster that was confided within one Vesuvius, who was confined to the courthouse. I had given strict orders that he should not leave the premises.
And after that individual literally blew up,
a done blown up.
Why did you not then increase patrols around the community?
I thought that was you and Ocean.
Because of the doctored tape is what you're saying.
Yes.
So you didn't do any investigation into the cause of the explosion? You didn't find the robot body full of explosives?
I assumed Vesuvius must have been involved in it. It was mostly horrific viscera, but I assumed he was involved because he was also missing. At first we thought he may have been a casualty of a terrorist attack, but once I saw your video, I assumed he was involved.
Well, let's go under the assumption that it was a terrorist attack of some kind. I would argue that it was. The AI certainly caused terror by blowing up the server room. So let's pull on that thread. Were you not concerned about any follow-up attacks from that same threat, even if it were Ocean and I, which it wasn't?
I was. There was definitely increased security afterwards. Town was locked down for a while. I don't think you knew that because you left for a bit, but it was rough around
Then
here.
How did 12 yellow Humvee people get into your courthouse if you had increased security like you claim?
I contend we don't have enough people to defend against the firepower of that individual group. If they wanted to take us, they always could have, but I had over a decade of data showing me that they did not want to do that. They had always remained outside of this town.
Well, turns out that decade of data wasn't so reliable, was it?
Nope. Something changed.
Indeed. Let me ask you another question. Does not being responsible for one thing mean that you're also not responsible for a lot of things?
No.
Okay. So you not being responsible for the server room exploding, do you think that absolves you of all the other terrible shit you've done?
I don't think I've done other terrible shit.
We'll have to disagree there. Did you ever limit the courthouse's power like you did everyone else's?
No. Wires come through here first, basically. We'd have some brownout type situations, but no, got to keep the courthouse powered.
Okay. So you hoarded power for yourself while maintaining its scarcity for other people?
The work we did here is what provided the power to begin with. If we lost power, we wouldn't be able to do our work.
What work were you doing in the courthouse that required so much power? Seems to me like most of what you do is ordering people around to do mean shit to other people.
I would disagree with your assessment of my day-to-day job, but there is a lot of work that goes into making sure everyone is provided for in this town.
This is an old courthouse, right?
Yes.
Did you hold a lot of trials here?
No, not many.
Who would decide when people were like guilty or needed punishing?
That would generally be me.
What gives you the right to decide that?
I think I am a terrific judge of character.
Were you ever like voted into power, Hickory? Was there ever an election?
No.
Was there someone above you who appointed you to the position?
No.
So by what right do you lead this community? What?
By the social contract that everyone who stays here follows.
The social contract. What does that social contract say exactly? Support Hickory Fleek or pedal it off?
Leave.
Or support Hickory Fleek or we'll pop your tires? Support Hickory Fleek or we'll cut off power to your cave? Is that the social contract you're talking about?
The social contract is what governs every society in this apocalypse, which if you don't like how I'm doing it, come and kill me and do it better yourself. Or if you don't want to live here, go somewhere else.
Don't you think it'd be nice to have a little bit more of a civilized society than that?
That's a wonderful dream.
It seems to me that in just the last week, things have gotten tremendously better in the community. Can you tell me what happened in the last week? What changed about the leadership in our community in the last week that might have enacted that sort of change?
Well, I haven't been too privy to the politics of the town since
Exactly.
I've been
That's
incarcerated.
true. You haven't been involved at all. And it seems like things are
I
going...
heard there is a limitless supply of energy.
Yeah, it turns out when you apply yourself, it's not so hard to change things for the better. It's very hard, actually. I look at Ocean. You almost die a lot. I say under my breath to myself. I have another question for you, Hickory. Did you ever pedal for power yourself?
No, I tried out the bikes once, but
Is it safe to assume that you do give yourself access to the funds that were in the courthouse? Purchasing goods and services?
yes, absolutely.
Can you tell us exactly what your salary was, roundabouts?
It's not really a number. It's just
It's just everything that
whatever.
is in the
Yeah.
courthouse.
Yeah, it technically belongs to me.
Oh, okay. So our tax money that goes towards supposedly fixing up power lines, or more accurately, I think they probably go more towards breaking power lines and breaking propane tanks. We don't, that's not the community's money. That's your money.
Way cheaper to break something than to build something. Way cheaper. You should see the numbers on that.
I'm sure it is. So you're telling me that you own that money. That's not the community's money. That's your money.
Yep, that's mine.
Okay.
Yes. Sometimes I give that back out to the community as a token of goodwill.
But certainly your employees have salaries of some kind, correct?
Yeah.
And does that come out of your pile of batteries or a different pile of batteries?
It's all the same pile of batteries.
Oh, okay.
It's all mine.
So would you consider yourself a mayor? Would you consider yourself a king? Or would you consider yourself a dictator?
None of those. I would consider myself a bringer of light to the darkened masses.
Interesting. Would you also consider yourself the taker away of light?
No, I can't take away something that wasn't there.
Well, you did in my cave. You certainly took away the light quite a lot.
The light wasn't in your cave. The light came from me. I'm not taking it from your cave. I'm giving it to you.
You're preventing it from getting to my cave, wouldn't you say?
No, I think if I wasn't here, then it wouldn't get there at all.
You're just not bestowing it upon me.
Yes.
Then why is there light
That's
in my
fair.
cave right now?
Well, probably because I've been incarcerated.
Oh, I thought you were the bringer of light, though. You were the bestower of light. If you're not the bestower of light, then what are you?
Well, now I'm nothing.
No further questions, Your Honor.
We will deliberate. They're going to deliberate. Is there anything you guys want to say to each other in character?
Ocean puts his hand on Book's shoulder and says, "You did good, bud. Your parents would be proud."
Book kind of like falls, like the hand lands on his shoulder, but he just falls forward into like a very large hug with Ocean and starts crying
Poor fella.
quietly.
Vesuvius scrunches into your foot and he goes, I think we did a pretty good job here
You
today.
did a great job, Vesuvius. You were the linchpin of apparently everything, because Hickory's only defense was that he wasn't at fault for what happened to the server room, which is a crazy defense because so many other things happened that he is at fault for.
I really wanted to cross-examine Ocean, but it was probably going to end up bad because I would have been like, hey, he got me my job. He looked after me.
Yeah.
Thanks, Vesuvius. That probably wouldn't have worked very well, but here, hold on a second. And Ocean actually walks over to Frida.
Frida turns to you and goes, hello, Ocean.
I just want to let you know, you did really well. You kept us on our toes the entire time. I know that must have been hard for you.
I think you guys did great too. She kind of goes in really close to her. She's like, I'm just going for not execution, And I'm feeling pretty good about that right now. I think it's going to be a win-win.
Yeah, I think we've definitely avoided the death penalty. I wasn't going to push for it, to be honest with you, but I think at the very least, Hickory deserved to have somebody support him.
When Book was getting a little fiery there, it was really hard for me to not just like throw him under the bus for a bunch of stuff, but then I knew he'd throw me under the bus.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, we didn't mention that you were the one behind the tape.
Yes, thank you. I do appreciate that.
That's all I want to say.
He also made us hit a button that blew up Hickory's office.
That is true.
Don't forget about that.
That is true.
If anyone here's a terrorist, it's fucking her.
That's true.
Okay. For listeners, we just had a moment where we all came to 100% agreement and certainly didn't argue for a while about how well the different charges were argued. And that's going to give a modifier to the roll that is going to determine how successful this was. There's definitely a limit on what success and what failure is. So don't worry too much because you guys did do a good job. So you'll be fine no matter what. But the charges of fraud in allocation of goods, embezzlement, first degree murder, and treason in the highest degree were decided to be not proven in the court of law.
Boo.
Which, if there was nothing else, that would give you a -5 to the roll, but you're getting some pluses here in a second. The ones that were proven successful are wrongful seizure of goods and services, misappropriation of funds, taxation without representation, anti-competitive tampering, and, of the big ones, conspiracy to commit murder. So if we average all those out, you end up with a +1 on your roll. So just over half. But to make this more exciting, and since you guys were a team, we're going to go into the Discord roll channel and each of you roll 1 dice.
So we're each rolling run. Okay. Oh, God.
Let me know where you go. Stu, you want to count it down?
3, 2, 1.
Oh, sweet. That's a 5.
I got a 6.
5.
I got a 6.
Yeah, they got a 12.
That is a total of
Did you see it?
12.
I can't see dick all. You're completely frozen.
That looks like a 9. But
Well,
yeah.
it looks like a 9 because it's an upside down 6.
Let me see if I can get my...
Oh my God.
Look. I'm not going to tilt it. I'm just going to let it lift it.
Look at this multimedia experience.
5.
Oh, it's happening. It's a
5.
and 6. Hey, we're using like almost the same exact dice.
Oh, shit. Hell yeah.
Hey, your dice are strangely similar. Okay, that was fun. The 3 judges return out solemnly, sit in their chairs, and Juniper stands up and he goes, "We have conferred, and we would like to ask quickly to the prosecution, from everything you've heard today, some of the misinformation of Pistachio Jones and all those sorts of things. We would like to know what you, as new important members of our community, view as an appropriate punishment for Hickory Fleek."
Hey, Stu, can we get like a litmus test on like what the people want?
Yeah, actually, yeah. Ocean wants to kind of just look around the room and see what people are feeling.
Give me a read a sitch roll. I'll let Book do it first, and then if we want help, Ocean can help.
Okay, that was a 6 and a 1 plus 3 is 10.
Ask me 3 questions.
Ooh, okay. What represents the best opportunity for us to make the community happy? And then always, what should we be on the lookout for? And what poses the biggest threat to us?
You look in this courtroom, and you think the general feeling of the room is that they certainly don't want Hickory Fleek back in charge. There was enough exposed here today that they think the town is way better off now than it was back when he was in. And there are some people who are probably wanting to go for Pistachio Jones's head more. They're going to be happy with a guilty verdict. And honestly, it's the apocalypse. Most people are probably not going to be worried about you being too harsh on him. For, did you say biggest threat? And what should I be on the lookout for?
It was,
Or were the other two?
yeah, what should I be on looking for and what's the biggest threat to us?
What you should be on the lookout for is you see that Frida still looks very nervous right now, even though she seemed very confident that it wasn't going to be an execution. So you think there's a level between execution and walking free that she is still worried about, if that makes sense. And then your biggest threat here is you look peering out through the courtroom door. There's a little glass window on it. You see a little flash of metal for a second and it goes away, but you see an eye poking out and you see Crash You waiting in the wings.
Oh, that is very good to know. Hey, Ocean,
Yes.
can you go like talk Crash You off a ledge? And I gotta ask Frida something.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do about Crash You.
I kind of nod him towards the door, and then I walk up to Frida. Hey, Frida. As far as what we're considering sentencing wise, I just want to be upfront here. We're looking for either like banishment or for him to peddle it off, which would probably take forever. So I guess I just wanted to get your input on what you think is fair. And I don't know. It's your dad.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I do think both of those would be fair. I know him, and if he's banished, I honestly don't think he will survive very long.
Yeah,
It'd be basically just the death penalty.
I agree. Would you prefer that we did the latter then?
Yeah, that would definitely be my preference.
Okay. Well, thank you for your input.
Smash cut outside. Ocean, you step out, and Crash you pretends he's not holding a massive machete. He puts it behind him and he goes, "Oh, hello, Ocean. It is great to see you on this day. I heard Hickory Fleek's trial might be soon.
Yes, Crash,
coming up in the next couple weeks.
About that, here, walk with me. Let's talk.
Yeah, we were supposed to talk. You wanted some insight into the baffles, right?
Yeah, we would, but I think the more important thing here to talk about, Crash Hugh, is that, look, you can't kill Hickory.
Well, I think I could. He's pretty wounded.
You could. He's pretty weak and a pitiful little fella at this point, but I don't think it's what's his brother's name?
Tabasco.
I don't think it's what Tabasco would want. You know Tabasco. You knew him better than all of us, and he valued merriment and chaos and wildness, and killing out of revenge? That just doesn't seem like his style.
That's very good. Give me a sway someone roll, but I will give you advantage.
I rolled 2 and a 2 and a 4, so not super great. That is actually it's an 8. Not bad.
He looks at you and he goes, "I know you're right. You never would have cared about getting revenge on him, but like, I'm sad about it, you know?"
Well, it's right. It's right to be sad about these kind of things, Crash. You lost your brother. That's a pretty sad thing. But the best thing to do, I think, in this situation would be channel your sadness into being productive and helpful. Look at you. Look how much you've grown.
I have gained at least 3 inches.
Think about all the things you can do for this town. Yeah, you're much taller. You got a lot of muscle mass on you now these days. Does he look pretty much exactly the same?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I figured. But think about ways you can channel that sadness into a community. Do you know what this town needs more? Art and poetry. You could write stories and pamphlets about whatever you feel like, about cool things, and make sure you just, establish that these are beautiful works of poetry. Look at what Frida's done for this town. You could be the next Frida.
Frida 2. Crash you.
Yeah.
Crash you, Frida 2.
Yeah, you might want to take it up with Frida about using the Frida 2 name, but think about adding your stamp to the town, channeling your sadness to create works to inspire people, and not killing and burning and destroying things.
And less revenge.
And no revenge. Not less revenge. Let's do no revenge.
No revenge. Ocean, I'd like to give this to you. And he gives you his very bad machete.
Thank you, Crash. I'll treasure it. And I guess I sheath it in my belt or something.
And he reaches into his pocket and he pulls out a paintbrush. And he goes, "Now to begin my new life."
Well, good luck to you, Crash. We'll check out on you every once in a while, and we'll come talk to you about the baffles.
Yeah. Whenever you want to stop by. Smash cut. Back to Book. The door opens behind you and Ocean walks in.
Ocean gives him a okay finger gesture.
But Book leans over and whispers, "Nice machete, idiot."
He gave it to me. I didn't want to throw it away. I figured it'd kind of defeat the message.
No, it suits you.
I don't know how to take that, considering you just said it's an idiot.
Yeah, I was just messing with you.
You just called me an idiot.
Just palling around. You obviously normally have much better machetes. That's why I said idiot.
Hey, he made it himself.
Maybe it was in poor form. I don't know. It's been a long day. Your honors.
Yep.
And may it please the court. We would like to recommend the sentencing of peddling. Peddling until every ounce of or every battery of misbegotten goods is returned to the community.
"So it shall be done." And he gavels the table.
I am afraid that Hickory is going to
Become the
get
strongest.
super jacked.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then kick us into space from underground.
He's going to be the strongest boy soon.
Just do really quick. Is Hickory currently in a state where he could even get on a bike and pedal?
It would be painfully and not very useful, but he could physically do it. Yeah.
Until the defendant is, or actually the convicted until the convicted
He rolls his eyes.
is physically capable to do so without further bodily injury or pain, I'd like to recommend that he be imprisoned and given something productive to do.
Like painting.
No, like work. Like he needs to fucking contribute for once.
I think that sounds fair.
Cool. Thanks, y'all. I'm out.
You guys dramatically walk out of the courtroom.
Yep.
Then Frida blows it up and there's a big explosion in the background.
Work here is done.
With you dramatically walking out of the courthouse in your very successful court case against Hickory Fleek, leaving him a shadow of his former self in the town and now maybe more hopeful, but certainly less certain hands. We're going to do some end of session moves.
Hell yes.
Choose a character who knows you better than they used to. They get to add +1 on their sheet. You can choose up to 2.
Can I do Frida and Ocean?
Yes, that makes sense.
Let me look at it. I want to do Frida. My help Frida is now finally at +0.
Same.
You're finally starting to get her a little
Negative.
bit. Yeah,
Yeah. I want to up Juniper, actually.
I'll take that. Yeah, you had that good conversation with him. I like that.
Yeah, me and Juniper had a little heart to heart, and I saw him as somebody that's respected. So
All right, and I'm gonna do Frida and Johnny Hertz because I had that conversation with Johnny where he lied to my face.
Oh, nice. But you don't know he lied to you. You have to keep reminding you
Exactly.
that.
So I
you think he was
think I know
great.
him better, and I think he's a great guy.
Okay. At the end of every session, judge for yourself. Are you satisfied with the world and your place in it?
No, I feel like we just keep getting less and less satisfied with the world.
Okay, you get +1 XP.
Oh, I have an improvement.
I have 3 banked improvements now. Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and spend 1 to get my +1 sharp.
Okay. At the end of every session, does your scavenge choice still hold true? If it does, get +1 XP.
It does.
Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't. I'm gonna go ahead and use my last improvement, my second of the 3 improvements that I have holded, to get rediscover my cache of valuables, which I think is pretty relevant here.
Because that will increase your barter.
I gotta find I did not write how much it increases it down by on my new character sheet, so I have to find
Okay. While you're doing that, let's go back to Book for his interrogating realities end of session move.
All right, cool. So I have a fun one today. It's kind of a long one, Stu. It's a bit of a culmination of a lot of mysteries that we've been putting together.
Thanks.
So what I would like to unequivocally say yes or no is that the AI that we've been fighting this whole time is just a viewership algorithm, and that everything that we've seen them do has been, in terms of like gathering power, has been in the interest of boosting their signal and reaching more audience, and that may be the source of the psychic maelstrom as well.
I will say that is true enough. That may be a slight oversimplification, but yes, true enough.
Ooh, that's so. Oh, I love that. That's confirmed. That was my absolute favorite thing that came from the.
Hell yeah.
And related to that, as you're pondering this, you're looking at your board and you're just like confirming, because you already felt this before and you told everyone about it, but you're looking at all the traces and making sure this actually makes sense. Like, are there any edge cases where it seemed to do stuff where that didn't line up? Like, you're trying to think, why did they attack Crandall's, if that's really it? It's still a little fuzzy in your brain. But while that's happening, you realize that since you figured out the magic of the bunny ears, more people around town have actually started watching TV just for fun. The bad AI generated TV.
Oh no.
Do you still have the one in your cave?
Yes.
Okay. Then in your cave, you hear a very welcoming, warm beep, 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 kind of like the NBC sound. There's some sort of advertisement that shows up on the television. You see Zendaya pop up on your television screen. She goes, I know everyone wants to be a big actor like me. Now's your chance. Open auditions are happening at the end of the month. Come down to the tower and try out for any of our amazing shows that we're looking at for the next calendar year. Anyone can just come on right in and you could be a star just like me. And then in the background, beautiful music of Zendaya is Michi comes on. It fades away. And then there's the address of the tower, which makes almost no sense because addresses aren't important. And it has a time that says like 7 p.m. November 30th.
Oh no.
Oh God, Book. So like Book is laying on his couch, which is also his bed because he lives in a cave, and he was like just laying back to finally sleep after like weeks and weeks of like he was staying up all night like monitoring Ocean when they were in the pit, when they were in the moon well. Then like they immediately jumped into like trying to fix the electric system. Like Book has not had a good night's sleep in months, and he was about to lay back and he sees that, and like all the blood drains from his face, and he sits up and he starts walking towards Ocean's house.
Oh no.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Oops All Apocalypses. If you're listening to this now, it is probably too late to send us questions for our episode 60 recap, Oops All Apocalypse, but you can still send them to us for the future, or if we ever have time during an intro, we'd answer them. Or if you have any good ideas for like a BuzzFeed Presents Apocalypse, that'd be great to send us at oops@stu.cool. That's oops@stu.cool. The music and editing was performed by Stu Masterson. Brady McDonough makes all the logo and art, and Jacob will save our soul. Love you, bye. Yeah, describe where you're hiding your microphone and dramatically pull it out.
Oh, it was under my lapel. The wire.
Well, yeah, do it in a cool way, like people would like to listen to it on a podcast.
Okay, fine. Fuck.